Hey everyone, it's Christina with My Confection Obsession, and today we're going to be making a Yoda cake. So the reason that I'm making this cake is because May the 4th is coming up, and I thought it would be a really cute idea to do a Star Wars themed cake since I haven't done one yet. So in front of me I have a 3-layer 8-inch cake topped with an 8-inch dome. And I will put the pan that I used for the dome cake in the show notes. So as you guys can see, I already stacked and crumb coated this cake. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to cover this cake with green fondant, and I'm gonna call this Yoda green. So I used a whole batch of my homemade marshmallow fondant for this. And to get this color, I did use AmeriColor in avocado, so I will also put that in the show notes as well. So let's go ahead and cover this cake with fondant first to get a good base. Okay, so once we have our cake covered in fondant, we're gonna go ahead and start adding our details. And I do wanna let you guys know that for this, I did use a template that I cut out beforehand, just because I wanted to place the shapes ahead of time to make sure that the sizing was correct. So I definitely suggest that you guys do that as well. That way you will have a cake that you'll be happy with. I did cut out his eye, his nose, his mouth area, and then of course his Yoda ear ahead of time, and I'm using cardstock, and I'm gonna use these as a template for my fondant. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and build his eye ahead of time. So I'm gonna put a black circle for his pupil and an eyelid over this before I attach it to the cake. So just a tip, if your fondant gets a little bit dry, just add in a little bit of shortening and then microwave it for less than 10 seconds and it'll soften it up. That's what I did for this black here. So I think we have his eyes there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of my Wilton dab and hold just to glue these pieces together. So if you guys have seen my other tutorials, you know that I use this pretty much anytime I use fondant. It's really helpful, and once I discovered it, I haven't stopped using it. You can use water. That works as well. I just think this works better. So you can use this to glue fondant to fondant or fondant to crusted buttercream. So I've set his eyes aside, and the next thing I'm going to do is his nose. As needed, go ahead and put a little corn flour down so your fondant doesn't stick. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do his mouth. So I completely free-handed this, so I'm hoping that this turns out. There's a chance that I'm gonna have to redo some of the pieces. So when I'm placing Yoda's features, I actually want to give him a pretty thick forehead because Yoda actually has more of a 5 head. So I'm going to put his eyes more towards the middle of his face. So I'm going to position them probably around there. So another thing with Yoda is when you're placing his eyes, you don't want them too far apart because that will completely throw off his look and he'll look more alien than Yoda. So you do want them kind of closer together. Actually, what I might do is I might place his nose before I put his other eye. Start to see Yoda's face coming together. Alright, so funny story, I had actually never seen Star Wars before I met my husband, and I think he actually almost didn't marry me because of it. So I have since seen most of the movies, and then of course every time a new one comes out, we're there on like opening day. Attach Yoda's mouth, I'm going to go ahead and give him some wrinkles before I do this, and then also put in his smile. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and use a little fondant tool, my dowel, and I'm just going to make some indentations here. Actually, first I might make his smile. attach this. I might go back and color this in a little bit darker. I haven't decided yet, so I'm gonna attach it first. Alright, so we do need to add some more wrinkles here, so I'm going to go ahead and give him some under eye wrinkles. And I'm going to lightly do this with my dowel. Poor Yoda, he didn't use wrinkle cream. So I am going to go ahead and color in his mouth. I think it just needs to be a little bit more defined. So I'm using black and just black gel food coloring. I'm going to just add a little bit of vodka and paint that here. So I might add just a little bit of eye detail as well. So I'm thickening up his wrinkles with the ball tool, and the reason I covered it in fondant was for this reason, because so much of Yoda's features are his wrinkles, and so that's how we were going to put these in here. And I did want the fondant to be soft, so that's why sometimes I cover the cakes ahead of time, but I didn't want it to harden at all because I knew that we were going to want to be sure that it was malleable so that we could do this for him. The good thing about Yoda is if there's a little bit of lumps in your fondant, totally not a big deal because he's kind of a lumpy little guy. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to make his ears. I actually did make these ahead of time because you do want to do this because you want them to harden so that you can attach them and they're not going to just flop over, but I'll show you how I made them. So I have my ear template. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out. And I definitely suggest that you guys do make a template because you're going to want to put your paper against to make sure it sits correctly. Okay, so we're actually going to cut 2 of these out for each side. What we're going to do is we're going to put cake pop sticks in so that we can stick it into the cake. So they're going to be like that. I'm putting 2 in because I want to give it lots of support. So we're going to cover that with another layer of ear. So I'm just placing this before I glue it. So I have that here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my dab and hold over this. I recommend making this a day ahead of time and letting it dry overnight to really harden. And then just place this here and press it. You're gonna let that dry. Otherwise, we put it on, it's not even gonna hold its shape. So what you're gonna see, I already made my Yoda ears here. And so I made these, I actually made these like 5 hours ago, but they're pretty hard. So before I place the ears, I do want to put a tiny little edge of buttercream icing down here. You guys know I really like my seams of my cake clean, and that's gonna hide that kind of messy edge. So I'm just using a small star tip to pipe a border around the bottom of our cake. Okay guys, so very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and place Yoda's ears on the cake, and then he is complete. Alright, so my Yoda cake is done for Star Wars Day, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did, go ahead and like below, and if you have any ideas for cakes you'd like to see me make, go ahead and leave those in the comments as well, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.